Hello, possums. Dr. Lena, coming to you from winter in Australia and also coming to you from tomorrow, one of my very special powers. It's already Tuesday here. So, as you've no doubt heard, the Yeti is going to Russia on Friday. You know, all jokes aside, imagine if Biden had said that. He didn't even actually correct himself. Maybe he sold Alaska back to Russia last Wednesday and forgot to tell us all. Anything could be happening. But that's why I'm wearing these colours because Ukraine is not at the meeting. So let's dive in with this, how Friday's meeting in Russia is going to go. And then there's masses to talk about, of course, because DC is occupied as we speak. It's hard to keep up with the atrocities really on an hourly basis. Okay, so how's Friday going to go? Because he's inconsistent now with Putin. Sometimes it's like, oh, Putin, and other times going, but he's always gutless when he's face to face. You notice that? So what's going to happen with this meeting? A meeting of the wankers, as we would say in Australia. Good luck finding a translation for wanker. Everyone in the UK will know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, let's get in. Three of the normal cards and three of the others. One, oh, the world turned upside down. That's because my cards are upside down. Right, well, that's pretty massive. It's a pretty big deal. Bigger, I'm sort of joking about it, but this is a pivotal global point. Yeah. Pivotal global point. Hold on, I'll see if I can find pause here. Oh, that was a high-tech moment. I managed to get pause. All right, now, pivotal global moment. Wheel of Fortune here. It's actually bigger than both men, if you like. Sorry, there's a weird wind here and all the doors are opening and shutting. Wheel of Fortune is significant. They're going to emerge with what they'll call a deal here, which, with this Queen of Swords, in terms of the international community, will not be legal. Oh, should we be surprised? Should we be surprised they're going to forge an illegal deal? Now, let me just do the governance oracles here, three more cards, because this is a big deal. It's a very big deal. Let's have a look. Now, domestic priority. I don't think this is the Yeti. I think this is Putin. He has to do something because Russia's been sanctioned for, I can't even remember how many years. The body bags are, rising in terms of what's going on in Moscow and beyond in Russia. He's in trouble domestically, is what I'm trying to say. So he needs to come back. Putin needs to come back with something. Shifting alliances. So I think what this could be, of course, this is why Putin feels stronger than he did even a month ago. It's because the Yeti, the isolated outcast here, because Trump has behaved the way he has with these delirious tariffs, he's pushing Russia, he's pushing India and China into the arms of Russia. because he's threatening. You can't tell countries the size of India and China where to get their oil from, and they get it from Russia, amongst other places. So now Putin is stronger than he was before, thanks to the outcast. Ooh, ooh, not marvelous, you have to say. So this is going to be a win for Putin. So at the moment, these tariffs, and they've barely begun. I just saw yesterday looking at Switzerland. Now, the US, let me tell you, the US relies heavily on Swiss gold, and two-thirds of the world's gold goes through Switzerland. I didn't know this. For refining. We produce gold, but Australians don't actually register where it goes after that. We just think, oh, it goes out in the world, you know. Okay, so two-thirds of gold refining is done in Switzerland because Trump has introduced a 39% tax. He was probably thinking it's on chocolate or something. That means the US will be paying 39% more for the gold, which will mean it'll weaken the dollar. I'm not an economist, and I can tell you that much. It is gobsmackingly stupid, can't find the adjectives, cannot believe it. So now, speaking of tariffs, the Dems, now they've pulled Jasmine Crockett's district, or at least it's vulnerable on the map. They're not going to be able to get rid of Jasmine Crockett that easily, but it is one of the deeper, more corrosive acts that they've come up with recently. Again, I haven't heard a squeak from the senior Dems. Heard a lot from the second tier, nothing from the senior Dems. Why they can't get on the front foot, I've got no idea. With the tariffs, by the front foot, I mean, instead of being in constant reaction to his next abominable thing and then being overwhelmed and not coping, this is the pattern. New slate, new day, get on the front foot with the tariffs and tell people what he's going to say, because that's how they've always done it. That's how they've actually corrupted trust in public institutions, they meaning the GOP and other sycophants. Say, oh, they're weaponizing the DOJ. And the Dems are left going, no, we're not, no, when they are weaponizing the DOJ, right? So you see what I mean? So they need to say first, you're going to hear from the president that billions are coming in from the tariffs. And that's because you're paying them. You are paying the tariffs. Keep reminding them. Canada did it. A tariff on Canada is a tax on the American consumer. Canada could do it. Put billboards up everywhere. The Dems need to get on the front foot. He's going to say this. He's going to say the Epstein tapes are nothing to do with him and he's going to do nothing. Put it out there first. Then when he says it, it looks weak and pathetic as it is. But if you're always in a state of traumatized reaction, you're useless to the people of America. You are not stepping up to this moment. And the same with what's happening in DC as we speak. Yeah. All right. Rant A. Let's move on. Now, let's look at some good news. So, his numbers are down. That's why the Dems actually, it's beyond my comprehension why they're not riding this wave, because people are pulling away from Trump, but they're not hearing where they could go. It's different for you guys who are Dem voters, of course, in this audience. Thank you all. But you need to be picking these people up as they peel off. Now, I was listening to Jennifer from I've Had It, being interviewed. And one of the things she said, which I think is very interesting, she regularly, well, both of them do, but Jen particularly, this interview said, let's not call it the manosphere. Let's call it the whinosphere. Whining away. They whinge and they whine and they're titty babies and they're beta males, right? So I think she's absolutely right. This crude, toxic masculinity that's out there needs to be addressed for what it is. These are needy, dateless, moronic guys who are just profoundly selfish and they just dribble on into the sunset. So let's call it the whinosphere. Now, they are the right-wing Uber jocks. What's happening for them? Let's have a look. What's happening for them? I'll move to these other cards. These guys in the ex-manosphere, which is now the beta sphere or the whinosphere. Oh, well, that tells a sorry tale, doesn't it? The first one, balancing priorities. So they like the fact that um, Trump appeared like the mob boss to them. I'm using the past tense because he doesn't anymore. Okay. So he appeared the tough guy, and that was superficially attractive. Open to negotiations, trusted advisor. So they're looking for new people to lead them through the nose because they haven't got an independent neuron. They just catch the next right-wing anti-female rave they can, anti-trans, anti-everything. So they're open to negotiation. And how would you sum up these guys, Lena? Oh, I know, easily bored. Easily bored. The cards speak. But in other good news, so the GOP is now starting to fail with young men. That's really good. We also had the former Lieutenant Governor, Jeff Damon, I think his name is, from Georgia, proud Republican, has actually turned Democrat. And you know who's leading the light in this stuff? Lincoln Project and all the ex-Republicans, they are the ones who are pulling out their own hair now with the Dems. They've made this huge ideological shift. They've made this huge existential leap to not be Republicans. And they keep saying at every opportunity, why aren't the Dems kicking them in the guts, kicking them in the shins, and in the nether regions? They, because they've always been that sort of party, don't understand this big tent, come on down, right? So this is not an era in history of when they go low, go high. It is not. You have to get down there and grapple for these new votes. Anyway, moving on. Um, Now, the big news, I think, that's purring away as an undercurrent to all of this is Project 2025, are the big boys, the Murdochs, Teals, even Musk, are they going to do it? Are they going to push him out? Are they actually going to do it? Let's have a look here. What are they talking about? Because they keep meeting in different combinations. Is the Yeti going to be evicted from the White House? Or are they going to prop him up weekend at Bernie's? What's going to happen? Let's look. Yeah, they're talking. 25th Amendment, but I don't think they'll go there. Nine of Pentacles. Look, excuse me. They are talking and they realize the situation they're in now, this is Project 2025 and anyone who supports them, is they're going to lose the midterms. Therefore, they're left with no choice but to sabotage the midterms. And so this is their thinking now. They're torn between what to do about him, because if they don't do anything, they're going to lose. Have they actually still got the resources between them to stifle the election? All this is being talked about. Now, although the Yeti has broken every rule in the book, broken every convention, broken the Constitution, broken the Supreme Court, no, they did that on their own. There are still legal hurdles to cancelling midterms. I think they're going to try and just sort of, um, you could say this card is a bit like someone in the garden of a facility, right? We all know he's not ever going to go to jail, not at this age and stage, not as a twice president, no. But a facility has always been on the cards in my book. It's like they'll leave him in the garden, or you know how he's turned the rose garden into the pet cemetery. It's like letting him roam a bit. I think this is Russia to me. I think they're going to let him have his failure at being able to get Putin to actually stop it. Putin will stop the war when Putin wants to stop the war. Um, and because Putin, I'm talking about now, the problem is all these men are doing these dreadful things to keep their own sorry asses out of jail. And that includes Trump, Putin, and Netanyahu. So I think they're going to let him have this mess with Russia and Ukraine, and then they're going to step in. Let's go a bit further because it doesn't really answer our question. It does in the sense they're going to leave him for now. Sorry, guys. Hate that. But bigger plan, this is what they're planning. What else have they got in mind? Because they're not going to put up with this for 3 years. Are they going to act at some point in the near future? Are they going to act? Okay, here it is. Foreign threats. They're going to leave him with all the unresolved foreign relations disasters. Because But now they're supporting and assisting a shadow ruler. This might be Vance with the tattooed eyeliner. I think they're seeds of prosperity. So they're going to try, and this is immensely powerful men. Now, I'm sure I've said this before. We all hate Vance, MAGA hate Vance, everybody hates Vance. But when you have those huge, powerful men putting someone forward, they'll often get over the line. Look at the Yeti himself, right? So I think they're going to invest in Vance and, oh, just heard something. Hospital. I think, I can't give you a timeline, unfortunately, but I'll say broadly, going into the new year, if the Yeti manages to survive this year, anything can happen between now and the end of August, let alone any further. But if So I think this is the plan moving forward. They'll call it a health issue. I think he'll be so um, not demoralized because narcissists don't get demoralized. Um, he'll be such a liability that they will act. I think they'll even talk with the doctor. See the symbol here, which is like the Hippocratic Oath. Now, all presidents have their Dr. Feelgood. We know that going back to JFK and the back pain medication. This is not new. It's not a Democrat GOP thing. And Trump's got his own Dr. Feelgood. I think they're either going to ditch the doctor, talk to the doctor in the car park, here's some cash, off you go, and they'll bring in their own doctor who'll sign off on him not being able to keep going. I think that's what's going to happen. Then JD slides in. Ooh, and then we have to deal with that caca. All right. But he doesn't obviously have the charisma of the badly turned out Yeti. He's looking disheveled. That used to be Steve Bannon's role, remember? And Trump said to him, "Oh, you look like a homeless person, Steve." Like, oh. And look, let's just take this moment because obviously in the crunch time, homelessness is going to become a much bigger issue, which is why they're penalising it and putting it out of sight. Now, Australia has nothing to boast about here. We have unaffordable housing. So if you're a boomer and you own a house, your asset's worth a fortune, but you have no money. And the next gen can't afford Australian property prices. Now, in the US here or anywhere else, the true rate of homelessness is massively disguised, and it's disguised by people staying with friends and family when they don't want to, but having to. People living in their cars, living in tents, couch surfing. It's absolutely the challenge, the domestic challenge everywhere. And Australia needs to get its act into gear. It's really, really difficult, the housing situation. Now, on the other hand, our Prime Minister Albanese has come out along with France and the UK saying that in September we'll recognise the Palestinian state. This is not going to fly with Israel. And there's virtually nothing to save. It is so awful. And just 2 days ago, 5 journalists were killed in what was described as a targeted shooting by the IDF. Now, there are mass protests in Israel. The families of the hostages, of course, are furious and upset because Netanyahu has announced he's going in and everyone knows there'll be no one left alive. The Palestinians will be shunted down to the south where they were told to go before, and then they were attacked in the south. So let's not think that represents safety in any way. So Netanyahu is listening to his right-wing advisors, and it's no compromise, no deal. From what I understand, what Australia is saying with this arrangement of recognising a Palestinian state, it's complicated, isn't it? Is saying that Hamas cannot be part of any Palestinian state going forward. And let me just get the conditions here because this is really important. Because I think Canada as well, Canada, France, UK, taking the same line. So that Hamas will recognize that Israel has a right to exist. This is massive in itself. Finally, after all this time, a recognition that Israel has a right to exist, but must demilitarize and hold general elections. Meanwhile, Netanyahu is saying no Palestinian Authority and no Hamas and no anything. So we'll see how far the rest of the world is prepared to go on this. I will also point out many Israeli Jews are leaving Israel. So any viewers out there, please let me know in the comments or email me what your thoughts are on this. But we have to, at this point, not turn away. Starvation is starvation. And that's without what is also referred to as scholasticide, meaning Palestinian children have not been able to go to school for nearly 3 years. There's any war trauma of this scale goes on for generations. So let's see what happens from here. No one was more surprised than me when Albanese made this announcement. Okay, guys. So big love to all of you, and we'll speak soon. Look out. Bye.